Although there are thousands of ISSA member organizations, from contractors to distributors to manufacturers, each one is like a fingerprint. It's unique, exclusive, with its own way of impacting the industry. The member organization we are featuring today is AFFLINK. And to do this, I am pleased to welcome Michael Wilson, the president and CEO. Hope things are going well for you today, Michael.
Hey, Jeff, thanks. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate the time.
I appreciate your time. I know you're busy with your company, but this is going to be a great interview. I look forward to learning more about you and AFFLINK. So my first question is a big stumper. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Just what is an AFFLINK?
What is an AFFLINK? You know, it's not the duck. I'll tell you that.
I wondered.
I started 20 years ago here, almost trying to get rid of that stupid duck. But here we are. But AFFLINK, no. AFFLINK started again. We're 50 years old as a company this year, which is pretty amazing when you think about the lifespan of organizations. We started in 1973, really giving rebates back to distributors, which has been, our bedrock and foundation, like I say now, for 50 years. We started as affiliated paper company. So we started with just a paper Jan San house back then. But over time, our channels sort of expanded, if you will. And really, we decided, hey, we wanted to keep a little bit of the past of the affiliated name of the old company, but also explain kind of what it is that we do, which is really link our distributor members with our vendor partners. And so we smashed the two together, and voila, we have AFFLINK.
There's always a story right behind a name. So
there is. And what's funny about that is at the time, it was probably 1999, Jeff, and we had just started our national account business, and we had a URL, which was a big deal in 1999. And it was afflink.com, and that was sort of the order entry place for our national accounts to come and place their orders. And so we were like, hey, we already have that online real estate. Why don't we just go with that? And so we stuck a big sign up at the end of the parking lot there, and it's been that way ever since.
You say 50 years.
50 years, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. 100 years for you guys. That's pretty amazing.
100 years. You look good for 50 years plus in the industry.
Exactly. I started when I was 4.
I hear you. Yeah, it's great to see the milestones we pass, and ISSA at 100, AFFLINK at 50. It's great to see. So I'd like to ask you this question, Michael. What if a company like AFFLINK wasn't there? What would that mean to companies buying products now? How much of a disadvantage would they be in?
Yeah, good question. So I think what we bring to the table from a value standpoint 50 years ago was really a rising tide could lift all boats, right? So a lot of independents were just that, and were sort of small in scale or regionally based. How could we leverage that one particular entity in a corner of the United States with like-minded individuals from all parts, and really, again, making that tide lift all boats in the industry by aggregating their spend and aggregating that knowledge base to share best practices that would really provide them differentiation in their local market, but also help them compete better on a national scale.
Making a difference for all those companies out there. It's you might call it a journey.
It is, yeah. And again, that was the value that we provided 50 years ago. Our industry has changed, as you know. It's still changing. So, we're not naive enough to think that the value that we provided then will be the same value that we need to provide in the future. So, just like our industry is shifting, so too are we to make sure that the value that we are bringing to the market will not become obsolete.
Every morning I get up and check my email, Michael. I wonder what happened overnight because someone merged or bought or some big news. It's an everyday occurrence.
It is. And I think, we've become sort of immune to it a bit, but every day I do the same thing. It's like, what's different in the dynamic today in our space.
Yes. You worked in publishing as I do now, but in your past.
Yes, I did. I ran a couple of magazines, one of which was in the Jan industry. That's how I got started in this world 21 years ago or so, and one in the safety business as well.
And back then, when a company bought another, or there was a merger of any kind, it was big news. Now you're right. We're kind of like, oh, happened
Yeah,
again. Yeah.
it really is. I think, and I believe I got the stat from you guys way back when, but when I started in this industry, there were 24,000 plus independent facility maintenance distributors. And, I look today and there's less than 4,000. I mean, you obviously know this better than I do, but, not that those dollars have gone away, but really the cleaning maintenance industry has just seen tremendous amounts of mergers and acquisition in our space in a breakneck pace.
I don't think it's just our industry either. It seems to be happening everywhere, but
Yeah, sure.
we're not immune to that. Are there any proud moments in AFFLINK's history you can point to you'd like to highlight today?
For sure. I think that we've always hung our hat, Jeff, on being innovators in the marketplace. I think we came to market with our e-commerce platform that we grew from the ground up from our team of IT folks here in Alabama and offered that as a service to our distributors. That was something that was not being done in the marketplace at the time. And so, and again, today we still host the e-com sites for our, a large portion of our members on their up and down the street, day in, day out business. So I think that's really powerful. I think that's sort of what's in our DNA and how we go to market every day is how can we, again, provide differentiation to those distributors that are part of our group to help them compete better, grow their business, whether that's top line sales or bottom line earnings, obviously. But that would be one. We've we have a large group, so I think another advantage to our group or differentiator for us is that we're not channel focused just on facility maintenance. 40% of our business now is made up of industrial packaging distributors. We acquired a group back in 1999 called IDS, and that's really how we augmented the facility maintenance distributors. That is our heritage and our core with a new channel, an alternative channel, and we've done that here and there since. So adding office products dealer groups or alliances with MRO organizations, and really to round out a bundle of products for any national account end user customer that we may have and service as a group, but also to provide a low barrier of entry, if you will, for any of our members looking to get into those other channels, which is happening more and more today as those lines continue to blur, as you know. So I think those are some proud moments that I've seen and been a part of here for 18 plus years at AFFLINK.
Good memories, good points. Now, you are located in what city and state?
Yeah, our corporate office is in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I did not go to school here, so they give me a hard time about that. I went to a rival school. But yeah, in fact, where I went to graduate school and undergraduate school, the University of Alabama is playing both of those teams in football. So I like to joke that I get to see both my alma maters get beat this year. So
rub it in anytime.
But no, yeah, exactly right. But no, yeah, we're based out of Tuscaloosa here. We've got about 300 plus independent distributors that are part of our group that represent those channels that I just mentioned earlier.
All those clients, those distributors you take care of, that you service, that you provide the value that you do. You have to have a team there to do that. Talk about your team. What do you think about the AFFLINK team, and what have you done to build a good team?
Yeah, so really, for me, and sitting in this chair, it's about collaborative, fact-based communication, right? And we sort of sit at a nexus, what I like to call a nexus, a hub in this supply chain industry, where we have obviously distributors that are members of our group. We have suppliers that are part of our group. We have end customers that are part of our group from the national account perspective. So we sort of sit in this unique position within the supply chain, and having experts sort of focus in on each of those different stakeholders, if you will, is really what we like to do and how we like to put people and resources against those customers. But it all begins with that collaboration because one entity can't stand alone. So how do we work together, collaborate, as I mentioned, and how are we transparent with the way we go to market? So again, fact-based communication. So when you have that transparency, it ultimately creates a level of trust between each of those entities. And if you don't have that, it's really tough to do business moving forward. So that's really our goal, Jeff, is to build a team that shares in those passions, believes in that philosophy, and wakes up every day and lives that mantra of collaborative, fact-based communication with our constituents.
Something I value with what you do at AFFLINK is educating the industry with content.
Yeah.
That has to come a little bit from your background when you think about your magazine work in the past.
It does.
And that's the best way to help people. Tips, strategic thinking, topics that they need. One you sent out recently, and it's a good example of what I value with what you do. It was called Why Large Businesses View Poor Customer Service as a Profit Generator. Talk about a headline. I had to read that one. What drives you to do that? What is it that keeps you going when it comes to these ideas and this content?
Yeah, so in you're spot on. So in my opinion, and we just finished a big visioning strategy session, my executive team here over the past 60 days. And really what it boiled down to was, hey, we want to come and set new standards for the industry. That's vague and way out there, but that's really what we want to do. Whatever that looks like from a tactical standpoint. And those pillars are a variety of things. It's what assets do we have that we can leverage, and that's data and like I mentioned earlier, sitting in that hub. And a second pillar would be this sort of being thought leaders in the industry. How do we bring that to our members and that to our customers, so that we become a magnet where they want to join, where they want to come and learn about not only what's happening today, but what's coming down the pipeline. And I think that things like the article you referenced, we try to publish information that's not really commercialized, more so than, hey, we want to position ourselves, we want to invest the time and energy and resources into creating content that matters to our customers. And that one example is just that, an example of how we take time and resources to do that. And hey, we're not perfect, and we have an initiative right now that is focused just on the title of that article you referenced, because it is an opportunity, specifically today, as our industry is no longer a standalone industry, right? You can get commodity cleaning, maintenance, packaging, office supplies anywhere you want to, online, the box stores, independent distribution. So how do we leverage what we bring to the table? And I think I call it, how do we help our members become exceptional? And that's really looking at what they do well and amplifying that. And I think that an opportunity exists in that customer service piece. I think that's one thing that at least our members have hung their hat on for generations, quite honestly. And that, not to say that it's lost, but how do you put that under the microscope? Because that is an opportunity for us as an industry to win becoming exceptional.
The thing I also value about some of the content you have, maybe all of it, is that it goes to the person. Like when I read that article, I'm a consumer myself, although you're reaching distributors and those who use products from the cleaning industry. When you think about what we do as consumers, that should drive, in my opinion, what we do as business leaders, because
absolutely. A wise man once told me, start with the end user in mind and work backwards. And that's really how I look at it. So what's going to move the needle? What keeps those customers, my customers' customers, up at night, right? And I think that, because that's what they're concerned about. It's the facility director at the building service contractor, or it's the buyer at the K through 12 school system. It's those folks that we have to be in tune with from where we sit if we want to add value to that distributor, because that's what's important to them. It's what's in it for me. And if we think at it from that lens, I think we will continue to be successful in the content that we push out.
Agreed. Let's talk business strategy for a moment. Now,
Sure.
what do you do to separate yourself besides what you've already shared with us? Any specific business strategies you can say, we do this to get it done?
Yeah, I think more than anything, we want to be, and you'll see this in our content, is the home of the independent, right? And again, that's generic on purpose. So if you're an independent, you want to stay that way. We've got a pretty good mousetrap here, whether you're Jansan, packaging safety, OP, or MRO. And the reason I say that is because of what does differentiate us. And that's, we're not a co-op. We're not a buying group co-op that each individual distributor has a share of. And, you can't really get 300 people on the same page to invest in sales tools or technology or training. Where we sit, we're owned by Performance Food Group, which is the second largest food distributor in the nation, a Fortune 79 company. And what we do and what we're able to do for our members is leverage that $57 billion, organization to benefit the independents that are part of our group. So leveraging that has tremendous value that we've seen over the past probably 5 or 6 years, to bring new vendors to our base, to bring investments in wildly crazy programs that really, whether they're sales driven or marketing driven, that these guys, our members, can take advantage of, that we could have never done or funded really without the bank of a Fortune 100 company behind us. I think that's probably the biggest differentiator, because I think people see now too, Jeff, is that as our industry consolidates and there's fewer and fewer companies like the two now behemoths out there, how does an independent that's not part of those two, how do they compete with that, the purchasing power of the national accounts? How do they become bigger than they are? And that's through us. I think that we have a parent company that allows us to do those things, but unlike maybe some of our other larger competitors, is hands off enough to let us run our business. They see the value of the independent, because they are just nothing more than an amalgamation of independents that they purchased, over the last 50 years as well. So I think that's the biggest piece, is having the freedom and the flexibility to bring new ideas to market for our members than maybe some of the other group-owned organizations out there.
This question is interesting. If you could go back in time and change anything in your business past, could you point to something?
Wow, that is a good question. Anything in the past I would wish to change? Probably not. I would love to do things quicker than I did in the past. So maybe with the hindsight of history, go back and bring new things to market, new ideas to market. I think that if I could go back 6-7 years before the mergers and acquisitions started to take place really, in earnest in our space, I would love to have a conversation with our independents about, what their succession planning strategies are, what is their vision for the future, so that we could hedge against some of this stuff. Really, having that intel again, being hindsight being 2020 would be something that I would do, is speak to the members on that specific piece so that we could prepare for kind of where we have our where we are today in the market.
Yeah, there's no time machine, but it's always nice to think what I could have done, and maybe that'll drive some decisions moving forward as well.
I think so. But again, I think you're never going to know, predict the future. But I think opening those lanes of communication, like I mentioned earlier, will, I think, make my members feel the freedom to talk to us, to explain to us where they are if they're thinking of selling, and how we may be able to help them remain independent, or at least find, I guess, willing buyers within our own mechanism, so that knowledge and expertise and business isn't sucked out of our ecosystem, if you will.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the future. We've been talking about that. Anything to share about AFFLINK's future? What you're planning? What we can look forward to?
Yeah, I think again, we just came out of this visioning session with my executive team here, and really identifying what those key pillars of value we can bring to the marketplace, and how do we leverage those different, better, more in the next 3 to 5 years, because the industry is not going to stop changing. It's not going to stop consolidating, at least in the near term. So, it's again finding those things that that we can bring to market, and people will realize that, hey, I need to be a part of this organization to continue to grow and prosper in the market. And that's really around data. I think that we're fast becoming a data-driven company, looking at, again, from that unique position of where we sit, how do we aggregate that data, turn that into insights, and spit that back out to our customers, so that they can make intelligent, fact-based decisions about selling or strategy or category management, whatever that may be. I think that's something new that we can bring to market for our members and suppliers, and that's something we're going to sink our teeth into moving forward. Secondly, is again, how do we become that thought leader? How do we partner with organizations like yourself to generate content to fill a void that oftentimes exists in our members' lives, because they are fighting fires every day. They don't have time to potentially go to conferences or read the latest or keep up to date on technologies and sales trends and things like that. That's I think a role that we can play, and we should play in bringing that to them. So holistic training and development, that's where I think we sit in a spot in the industry that we can add tremendous value. And also it's integrating that ecosystem. Again, we tend to think of things in silos: Jansan, packaging, safety, end user, manufacturer, but it's a blend. Our customers don't think that way. They have a problem, they need a solution, they need this product to solve that solution. We need to start thinking like they do. And you made the point earlier about starting at the customer and working backward. That's what we're trying to do. And in a jazzy way, I like to call it integrating the ecosystem, right? So how do we take the manufacturers that are critically important to this? How do we take what they do and integrate that into our mechanism, and the distributors, and down to the end user, and even our parent company, right? How do we take all of those different electrons flying around this nucleus and make sure that ecosystem can coexist and really deliver value to all of them in the supply chain? And I think integrating that would be probably the third piece, if you will, of what we're looking to do, and collaborate. I think there's some really smart distributors of ours out there. How do we glean that intelligence? How do we glean what one does well and maximize that for the others? We want to be a learning portal, really, for independence, and that's taking the best of the best and extrapolating that across the enterprise. And that's really, I think, some key things that we can focus on, and we'll be focusing on, Jeff, in the future as we look 3, 5, 10 years down the road, not only for our own business, but how do we again pull our distributors with us down this path.
Good strategies. I like it. And good questions you bring up for the next 50 years, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, exactly. Let's hope.
Yeah. You mentioned ISSA, you're a member of ISSA, and the partnership, we value that, and we work together well. And I think we can do a lot more to help the industry. But let me ask this question, see if you know the answer. How long has AFFLINK been a member of ISSA?
Wow. I would say, I don't know, but I'm going to guess 28 years.
Oh, you're really close. This is a fun question, because a lot of people are like, forever. Like I only remember being a member of ISSA. So 27 years.
27 years. Okay, I wasn't too far off. Yeah.
I mean, you're so close. I'd say you're right.
Yeah,
27
exactly.
years.
Close
since
enough.
1996. So with that, working together, and we run much of your content. We talked about the thought leadership articles,
Mhm.
serving the industry.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about your partnership with ISSA. How much do you value it? How do you use ISSA to succeed? And maybe a third part of that could be, what can we do to better the industry beyond what we've done so far? It's a tough question. I'll let you have a moment with that.
Yeah, yeah, it's layered. But I think that again, we oftentimes have the same end goal. I think from you guys being a trade association, us being, a sales and marketing group, we want to help the independent distributors win in the marketplace. Obviously our business models are a bit different, but I think there's some overlap there that we've, to your point, shared over the years, right? To bridge that gap between what we do and what you do. We always have representation from your organization at our trade shows. We're always there at your trade show, really sort of blending that, or really carrying that torch of knowledge and being thought leaders in the industry. I think while we have done a fair job of that for 27 years now, I think that times have changed. It's a dynamic industry, and that partnering with organizations like yours, and you partnering with organizations like mine, and not just mine, the other groups as well. I mean, I think that there's a lot of knowledge out there that we could coalesce and bring to bear. I think that the independent distributor would be ecstatic to take advantage of. So to pointedly answer your question, I think it's continue to invest in education, leadership, bringing new people into this industry. I think is something that we could probably work on together, and we both need desperately. And so how do we do that? We started an emerging executives group here probably 7 or 8 years ago, trying to bring that next generation of business owners and leaders to our distributors and suppliers. How can we put that on steroids with someone like an ISSA to bring together, again, that second, third, fourth generation of owners in our world, and again, become a magnet for folks coming out of college and folks looking for a career. It's been a great career for me. It's been a good career for you as well, I'm sure. So, it's not the sexiest thing in the world. It's not pharma or tech. But what I like to say, and what I like to tell people, is that it's recession resistant. And that means a whole lot, especially in today's market. So how do we leverage, again, the positives of our industry and get that message out there together? You're the voice of the industry. How can we leverage that to bring people in and make sure we are around for 50 years and you're around for another 100? So, that's really where I think that we could make some hay in the market as well.
The industry will become a better place because of all the effort everyone pitches in and contributes. So I think the last thing I want to ask is just give you an opportunity. Everyone's watching this. If you're watching this, you're watching this, and everyone is going to be. What would you say to the industry? Some closing comments. What would you like to share to the global cleaning audience right now?
One is that we're important. This is an important industry and is becoming more important as population grows, as business grows. I think that we're in a good position. We have to capitalize on that, and that's a very loaded statement and means a lot of different things to a lot of people. But I think that's key, is to be proud of the industry, to be proud of what we do and what we bring to the market, and to become exceptional. I said that a bit earlier, and that's really what we have to do. And again, is that being exceptional companies in the way we run them. That's what we try to do here internally. Be a good company to work for, and that'll in turn bring new people in and bring good people in, and then be exceptional with the services that you provide. If you're a manufacturer, be excellent at that. If you're a distributor, focus on what you can bring to the table and how you can change the value that the end customer needs. I think looking internally, planning and predicting, what may come down the market, is going to be critical to our success. But I think that working together will be the winning recipe. Break down the silo of this is where I live in the supply chain. That's not how the customer looks at it. So how can I work better, more collaboratively with my distributor partners or my manufacturing partners, so that the end result is something we can all be proud of.